What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another post game with a special guest, unannounced, but a Lazio fan, which is good because we will probably hear a completely different perspective than my view and other people's I
Mm.
bring on the channel because we're solely focused on Juve. But with me is Steve. Introduce yourself first.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on, bro. Like I said to you backstage, bro, I'm a big fan of your channel. I like watching just football, anything football. I'm pretty unbiased. If we do the banter thing, we could do that. But yeah, I just like talking football, and you do a good job of covering Juve. I learn a lot of things about Juve, and I like to know about my opponents and just football, man. That's the name of the game for me. So thanks for having me on, bro.
No
Appreciate it a
problem.
lot.
No problem. People, it is a call in show, by the way, so you can call in clicking the link like Steve did as well, by the way. So, also, I thanked Steve already for the super jet, but thanks.
Of
Like, he
course.
is a Lazio fan. Keep in mind. Keep that in mind. We will talk about Lazio a little because you did beat
All
Bayern. So, towards the end, we will switch it up a little bit.
right.
But we're going to talk about, obviously, the game. I'm gonna ask you in general, really quickly, before we go in the game, because
Mm-hmm.
I spoke a lot about Juve, um, all season long. From from a non Juve fan perspective, how do you view our season? Or no, yeah, how do you view our season before I go into details, just in general?
So yeah, before the season started, I predicted you guys to finish what, seventh. I
Damn.
just looked, and here's why. Here's why. Again, I'm fair. I'm pretty unbiased, but when I look at it like, okay, squad manager, what do I expect? What can you guys do? Strengths, weaknesses, all that kind of good stuff, right? And I was like, you have standout individuals, of course, Chiesa. You have Vlahovic. I regard both of them very highly. Chiesa, it's a shame with the injuries because I love watching the dude play football for club and country. Very good player. Um, but it's like outside of them two, I like the signing of Weah. Obviously, as an American too, it's cool to see you know them step up into bigger clubs and make a difference. I think Weah has been probably 6.5 out of 10 kind of season. Good player, nothing amazing, nothing shambolic, but decent contribution. But I looked, I'm like the center back depth, not crazy about that for you guys. Midfield is a bit limited. I feel like it lacks a bit of punch, a little bit of ball carrying, that kind of thing. And I was just like, I don't know. And I'm not, a leg can grind out results. We've seen that this season, but I was like, and you struggle bad when the team you play against scores first.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the problem with being a counter-attacking style manager, not just Allegri. Nice with Farioli, they struggle a lot this season when they go 1-0 down because it's like, oh, now we have to attack. This is out of our realm of this isn't the game plan.
Yeah.
Our game plan is sit back and defend. Mourinho, sit back and defend, that kind of thing. So that's one of the problems with being one of those kind of managers. So I looked at it and said like sixth or seventh because I was like, okay, you have a better squad than Roma, I think. Again, they have a difference maker here or there, but nah, I overall, yeah, you smashed it out the park compared to what I thought you were gonna do. Maybe I was being too harsh, but that was just my kind of thoughts about it. And you've done well in the Coppa Italia. We play you guys, obviously. That's gonna be
Yeah.
very interesting. Very interesting. I kind of wish that tie was this week, this midweek, because I would feel good about it,
Uh,
right? But maybe
yeah.
you guys could take off and we, you know, do what Lazio do, Jekyll and Hyde. But I think you're having a good season. I didn't expect anyone really but Inter to win the title again. But I think you guys have had yeah. I like I said, way wrong about my prediction about where you guys are finishing, but yeah, performances. That's Allegri. So I'm not surprised, really.
So that's my follow-up question. Pietro, I will read out the super chats, the chats, excuse me. I will read out the chat, so don't worry about that. The follow-up question is,
Mm,
3 years in now, is there isn't like, my thing is, I always say, forget about the point. Like, if I were supporting Fiorentina, I would be looking at this and I'll be like, wow, you know.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
this is Juve, so if we win, if the win doesn't at the end of the day, like the end of the season, if the winning games doesn't accumulate to a trophy, I'm not gonna remember it as a Juve fan. Like it's as simple as that. I'm not gonna do that. Three
Right.
years into into his new tenure, do
Mm.
you think he has done enough to say, you know what, there's a good solid base you can build on? When base, I mean not even defensively, because that crumbles a little bit throughout the season as well. But a base in
Yeah.
terms of if one player is injured, you can just plug in another one. Like the style of play is
Mm.
so clear that we can
Mm.
build on and we can compete with Inter if we add more
Mm.
quality. My answer to that is no, and that's the biggest
Mhm.
issue, and that's why I'm like, it's over, you know. Because even today, I watched that game and I was like, we look like Verona should be looking. That's how we look
Yes.
today. We look
Yeah.
clueless. We look completely out of touch with what a top team should be, in my opinion.
Mhm.
There were
Mhm.
moments in the game where I was looking at Vlahovic in the second half. There was one moment he hold up play at midfield and he needed to wait like 5 seconds before Alexandro finally throw down the midfield line and he can lay it off. And I was like, no, we're not going to win this game because there's no real
Mhm.
intent, there's no real drive. People think, it's not true. Like,
There's no, yeah.
but
There's
coaching,
no snap crackle pop.
that and also coaching, like post game, Allegri said, formation,
Yeah.
that's not really important. It is. Like, it is. He says like we need to have some more grinta, like there needs to be togetherness. Those are really basic, like these things a coach says when he's kind of losing it a little bit. That's how I view it, because coaching is so key. Otherwise, why
Mhm.
pay a coach top money? And he is on top money, by the way. But just general, why pay a coach top money if coaching is not a real thing? And I'm not saying, and I'm not sitting here, one, that we should be winning the title. I never said that. I get that. And two, I'm not saying I rate this squad extremely highly, but I do rate them above a lot of teams in the league, like a lot of
Mhm.
teams, because there's enough
Mhm.
quality to do more. And 3 years in, Di Maria, Fagioli, like name the players there have been. At the end of the day, it boils down to the fact that we don't look like a real team. We don't. We have moments where we look like a solid team, but when things get tough, we have nothing to fall. Like if we, like you say, if we can see goals, it's panic. It's panic mode.
Yeah.
It's panic. If we don't get that first goal and we can sit it out, we have an issue. And there are a few exceptions. Monza, last minute winner, Sanitana.
You
I
guys
think
destroyed us at the Allianz, Lazio.
that was
Outplayed
probably
us.
one of our best games. First half, we wrapped it
Outplayed us
up.
completely.
Yeah, but like
Outplayed us completely.
when we were winning games and I was coming on, I was saying like, man, like I'll take the win, but it doesn't feel good. You know, it feels like it's gonna fall apart really quickly again. Or like I was not expecting this, by the way. Like three
Mhm.
relegation sides, 2 points. I was not expecting this. And my issue is post game. Again, this is Juve. If I hear my coach say this is a good point we can build on for away games, I'm like, I'm out. Tap me out. That's I never heard these type of comments ever. And I watch us play Serie B football, finishing
Mhm.
seventh. I never heard these type of comments
That's wild.
ever.
That's
I think, and people say, oh, it's just comments. You know, don't
no, it's
care about that.
no,
It's not, because
it's not.
he's saying that about the club. Like he never takes accountability. That's the feel. Like when we lose, it's a
Never
young team.
him. No, never him.
That's my issue. Like when we lose, it's a young team. We have youngsters, and so on, so on, so on. I'm like, okay, we win games. No praise for the youngsters, but you like to slate them or like to slate the idea you have a young team when we don't win. When I was looking today, and I was like, the young players were not the issue again. Like they were not the issue. I watched Rabiot, and he got the goal, and everybody was posting the sofa score or whatever. I'm like,
Oh no.
he was
Oh,
bad. Like he had an extremely
yeah.
poor
Not a
game.
factor in that game.
Indeed, but people, that's what it is. That's what I
Factor.
said when we were winning games. Look ahead. Look ahead. Points wise, like just look at how we play and just acknowledge 3 years in, there is a deep rooting issue. And that's the only thing I have. Like, I'm not agreeing that you need to call Allegri names because for me, he's a club legend. However, I think now
Yeah.
it's done. It's done. And I have a
Yeah.
growing feeling it will be done at the end of the season as well. But do you think there's a real possibility that Juve will extend this contract?
Yeah, because I think you guys, ownership and just the way the club moves, I think there's always an excuse, it seems like, and settling for mediocrity. Hence why you're pissed off when Allegri says stupid stuff that I wouldn't accept at Lazio if Inzaghi in the past said that, or if Maurizio Sarri said, "I'm cool with getting a point away to Salernitana, LS Verona, whoever." I'm not accept. No. How about you just say what it is, bro? You didn't play well. The underdog played better. That's not acceptable. We need to do better. I'm not saying there's nothing to build off of. There's nothing to build off of. That is not no. I could see you guys extending. I could. Um Obviously I don't think that's the best move for you guys. I really don't. I think Juve need to express themselves a bit more. Show us something more. It's so stale. It's stale. It's the same thing over and over. And you know what that is? That's settling for mediocrity, bro. That is settling for mediocrity. We're happy in second place. We're happy and sad. I think Allegri said a few things this year about you guys are never expect to win the title. Let's solidify second place. That's good. Well,
You
I
know,
guess if you're looking at my expectations,
yeah.
seventh to second, okay, cool. But trophies that don't get you anything. So I think yeah, it would be a backward step if you guys extended Allegri.
M-
Backward step.
My issue, like he said 2 seasons in a row now that we need to win the title, or like that we should be in contention, and now he
Mm,
downplays it. I'm like, we have it. Like the videos are out there. Like I've watched you. I heard you say it live post game. After Napoli. I was there. I've seen it, and
mhm.
now you want to downplay it. Today you said finishing
Yeah.
second would be something extraordinary. I'm like, no, it
Not
would not.
extraordinary.
It would not. Like he's dressing it up way too much now. Like if we finish second, like I I still need to see more. But like if he
Mm,
doesn't win the title this season, I get
okay.
that. Like I was not gonna say, but the way it's going, it is an issue because it's having the same vibes as last season where you're gonna finish like 17 points behind or something. It's giving
Contact
though.
matters.
That's that. Like, I'll keep bringing
Contact
up the example. Ole Gunnar
matters.
Solskjaer finished second, but 20 points behind Man City.
That team was awful.
That one that was one of the worst teams I've seen in a very long time. And Manu
Objectively
had some bad
awful.
teams, but they finished second, but with 20 points. And I was like, context, context
Contact.
matters. Nobody expected Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to win the league, by the way. However,
Mm,
the play, everything made it very clear he's not the right guy. Like
of
he's not
course.
gonna turn it around, and that's my thing here. When I watch 3 years into the new, like 3 year into the new process, and he's talking about
Mm,
a rebuild takes time. I'm like, this is year three. Like, how many time do you actually need
yeah.
to implement? Like, if he had something on the pitch, I could look at it and I'm like, you know what? I get it. Now we need some new pieces. I find it even hard to say, like, I don't rate players, certain players in this team,
Hmm.
but I
Hmm.
even find it hard at times. I sit back and I'm like, maybe I'm being too harsh because maybe when I think Chiesa can be better under a different coach, maybe, and I'm putting it out there, you know what?
Hmm.
Maybe even Rabiot or Locatelli, like these players, they will look better on a different on another coach. That's my thing. When I sit back at the end of the day, the players he improved, I don't know. When people say he improved Danilo, it's an issue. Like he's 33. You need to
Alexandro.
uh,
Oh, what a Alexandro. Oof.
like the old players are being improved. That's not good. Like that's not improving. Like you're
Don't matter because it's not part of your future.
that's it. And Alexander today came out saying in a back five we look more good. I'm like,
Who cares?
yeah, like, you should be looking good in a back five because if you don't look
Yeah.
good in a back five for some of you guys, you should
Mhm.
probably retire at this point. Because
Yeah.
that's not fair. And even today, like he finally made the decision. You know what? I was shocked. He kept Yildiz on. When Chiesa
Mm.
came on, I was like, ha, he's finally gonna do it. He's gonna take the quote unquote chance, against
Mm.
these type of teams, 10 minutes, and he pulls off Yildiz, and I'm like, whatever. And then you're chasing a game, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna get my top scorer off that pitch, and I'm gonna get Miligan. I'm like, you're chasing a game. And then post game, he said, yeah, even when we change formation, we risk conceding goals. I'm like, you change the formation for 10 minutes, apparently, and you risk conceding goals. You're risking to concede goals all game long. Even without the 4-3-3, you were risking to concede goals. And now he wants to put it, and he did it tricky, and he said
Yeah.
it. When I change it up a little bit, we risk conceding goals. I'm like, buddy, you were risking to concede goals from minute 1 until minute 90, basically. And that,
He gaslights like a politician.
it's
He has
unbelievable.
he has an unbelievable knack of gaslighting like a politician, bro. He because that's what gaslighting is. It makes the other person look like they're stupid when you did something stupid. Oh, it's on. No. This is actually how it is. No, stop. Like you said, yield and let's keep it. Let's add context again to what Kenan Yildiz has done for you guys. Gets pulled up out of nowhere, out of your next gen academy, does really well, wins a few games, or is a big part in what I'm thinking about the Frosinone game. Big part. I think that's when Vlahovic scored a header late in that
Yeah.
game. By the way, this is an out of form Frosinone. Some good young players, but they got Di Francesco, the fraud. You know, I knew his act wasn't going to last that long. That guy's a bum. But you're struggling against them, and Vlahovic last minute winner. Yildiz played a big part in that. Some other games that Yildiz were good in. I can't think off the top of my head. You'll know better than me. But the point is, it's like, and then bringing off Vlahovic for Milik. I'm Polish, bro. Milik is awful. Milik is awful in a Polish team full of awful players. Full of awful players. Milik is a nobody. I wouldn't even have him fifth choice striker at any at Lazio. I think he's useless. I think he's done. I don't think he offers anything. A
I agree.
goal every once in a while. He doesn't add anything. Why is he at Juve? Why is he being brought on in a game where it's tied? Why? Like that is on you, that Allegri, bro. You're letting your fans down and your team down by doing stupid stuff like that. And then he's trying to say all this stuff like it's laughable.
It is an issue. Also, people hit the like button.
Yeah.
Smash the like button. What happened to Keane? He's still injured, and we tried to trick Atletico into signing him, which is also hilarious. But they found out. He's still injured, by the way.
He
The I'll say this, and I tweeted mid game. If you, in general, if you watch that game, or let's say if you watch the last 4 games, but this
Mm-hmm.
game, and you come out and you say, keep in mind Verona are fighting relegation, so were Udinese, so were Empoli. If you think quality in the team is the issue for not beating those teams,
You're
you're not
crazy.
being honest with yourself. Is this
Yeah.
team, like the quality in this team, is it high enough in terms of the standard for Juve? No. Nobody's
Mm-hmm.
going to dispute that
Outside of
ever.
3-4.
Yeah, maybe, but like nobody's going to dispute that.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you think it's not good enough to beat certain teams fighting relegation, even Salernitana, you need a last minute Vlahovic goal with 10 men, you're
Yeah.
lying and you're making
Yeah.
too big of an excuse for one person. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Allegri thing is a weird one because if you say something about Allegri or you don't respect your legend, I don't know, like maybe I need to wear a shirt where I say for me he's a club legend. What he has won for the club, nobody's gonna take that away from him ever. So for me, he is a club legend. However, it's just time. Time is up now. We need
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
different. What we need, I also said that I'm not gonna discuss that until I know we're moving on or not. Because we can go 2 ways with this, but I don't want to put energy in it when I'm not sure it's actually gonna change. So that being said,
Mm.
the Milik one as well today. Like if he kept on Vlahovic and he chucked in Milik, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like you
At
you're trying
least
to
you
win
have
the game.
left.
Yeah. But you pull off your top striker, your top scorer, in a game that you should be winning. That's not right. And I would agree with it if in the past it did work. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a record this season, we're making good subs. Actually, the track record has been extremely poor. Against Udinese, it was shocking. Today,
Yeah.
I got the idea up to a certain point, and I was like, "You're losing it again. You're losing it
Mm-hmm.
again." Because when he brought on Alcaraz, I'm like, finally, we're gonna see him, And he didn't had much of the ball, You can see he's the player who is very direct, He's not gonna mess about. He's not gonna take 10 touches like Rabiot McKennie play sideways. He will play it for
He only knows one way.
that's it, and that was very obvious. He didn't have many touches on the ball. I get that, whatever, but he is
Yeah.
very direct,
Mm-hmm.
and that was obvious when we signed him. Never watched him, but looked into it. That's what always popped
I
up.
liked him at Southampton. Decent player, young, some potential there. Cool. So I don't know why not.
But
Yeah.
my issue is, why do you not sub off McKennie or Rabiot? Because they've proven in games when you're chasing, they're not gonna help really. They
Nice.
will. They might once in a while they will do, but in general, they're too slow on the ball. They're very undecisive on the ball, or the decisions they make are very simple. They're not gonna put a team in problems. They don't make a run. Like, they're not good enough in general, but
Mm-hmm.
in certain moments they're not good enough. When I saw that and he made that decision again, I'm like, you're being conservative against a team you should be just putting down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and he talks about energy and mindset post game, but you set the tone. You set the tone. I have a feeling these players go onto the pitch and they're like, we need to stay calm or we're not going to win against Verona. That's the vibe I always get when I see them play, and it is an issue because it's been 3 years now, and top four, Pirlo made top four, Yeah, he scraped it, but like it was his first job, he made top four. So I'm not gonna sit here and praise making top four. We are competing.
Mediocrity. The
If,
the the bare bones of
if we were
making top.
competing with teams from the early 20s, those top teams, and you make top four in a bad season, I'm like, oh, okay. But let's be honest, Milan are not having a good season.
Poor coach.
Roma, Atalanta, Bologna, even Lazio expected more from us. So they're picking up. To be
Mm.
fair, they're picking up, and they should because they have enough quality to do better. Um, but in general, you should be walking top four. Like, I don't want to hear you every week talking about top four because it's a given.
Facts.
Like, it's
Yeah,
just a
facts.
given.
Yeah.
And the more times he repeats that post game, I have a feeling that he's being. It comes across being insecure a little bit. It comes across to be like a defense mechanism. Oh, it's
Offensive.
top four, and I'm like, yeah, but did anyone put up? Like, was anyone debating you're not making top four? You made it last season with points deduction. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, it's being dragged on way too long now.
He's
The
trying
top
to
four.
flex it like a trophy, like it means something, like it means anything. It's like, okay, yeah, like I said, my seventh prediction, that was just the squad analysis, and I don't again, Allegri's not my type. I thought it was just stale. But like not that now that you're in that position, am I a bit surprised? Sure. But was I maybe underrating your squad a little bit and maybe overrating some other teams? Probably, yeah. Probably, yeah. We all get, predictions wrong, but yeah, that's it's not like yeah, it's nothing to flex about. It's nothing to brag about really. Like Napoli, just they're ninth place team right now, eighth, something like that, whatever. Lazio were really no better. I mean, the Bayern showing was terrific, obviously, but yeah, it's nothing to flex about when you're Juventus. Bayern, Dortmund, RB Leipzig, they don't flex top four. Why? Because they should be in there. Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. Arsenal, obviously, recently, but are they going to flex top four? No, because it should be there. La Liga, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barca, four spot up for grabs. None of those three clubs are being braggadocious, or, oh, we got top four. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You probably should be there. You probably should be there. So it's nothing to flex about. Like, okay, you're doing what you're doing, but there are very big problems in the way you play when it comes up against the bigger teams. And that is where you obviously want to show that you can compete with the bigger teams. Otherwise, it's no use being beating up on everybody else. But the big games, it's a no-show. It's a no-show. Like, what's the point? What's the point for Juve of that? Like, I don't think that's yeah. And I don't think you're being like, oh, I'm expecting too much of Juve to get top four. You're a Juventus fan. You won 10 league titles not too long ago. That was the standard. Winning it. You're probably disappointed as a Juve fan that you didn't sneak a UCL in there
Yeah,
somewhere,
yeah, yeah.
even though you're coming up against an amazing Barcelona team early 2010s.
You know, we should have
Real
won
Madrid
one.
repeat. Yeah, you probably should have. Yeah, or at least gotten the the final Juve Barca. I think that's 2015. They outplayed you,
Yeah, they
real
were
real
just the
bad.
better side. I could have accepted it on
Yeah,
the day.
but other than that, you didn't make a final in that stretch.
No,
That's
we
the standard you used to, not top four. So I get that. 100%, I get that.
like the standard is always winning, but
Thanks.
I can be realistic and say this team is not gonna
Of
dominate
course,
whatever. I get it,
of
but
course.
3 years in, the main issues are the same, you know. And people say, oh, he needs
Hmm.
more quality. Be realistic. We are in a situation we're not getting the quality many think Allegri needs. And when you say he needs that whilst being on 9 million euros, he's not the right man, a guy for a job.
I don't think giving him quality. I don't know if he want those electric players. Is he a forward thinking offensive coach?
No, he wants
No.
players who can win him the game individually, you know.
Yeah.
But
And that's not how football works nowadays, bro.
no,
Unless you're
long term it doesn't.
Ancelotti. And unless you're Ancelotti. But Real Madrid play good football
They
generally.
play good football. They play
Yeah,
good
and
football.
even then you can't say it's individuals. So it's like that's not how that works, man.
Like,
Really not. So,
like add quality to the team. I got like yeah, I want quality to the team. I know that we need quality.
of
However,
course.
the quality we're gonna get, or like the players we're gonna get and be linked with, are not the players I think the same people think Allegri should be getting. You know, if that makes
Mm.
sense, because we're not gonna get Pirlo or a Vidal or a Pogba out of nowhere or
Even
Tevez.
Mandzukic.
Yeah, like it's not gonna happen. You're gonna get Samarcic, Cope Miners, Sule back. Like those are the players you're
Sudakov.
probably.
I think you're linked with Shakhtar Donetsk, Hiori,
Yeah,
Sudakov.
but like he has a 100 million release clause now. He signed a new deal, so that's not gonna happen. But like these are the players you're being linked with. Young, up and coming, but still need some work, you know, to develop into top players. He's not
Weah,
gonna get that.
Fabiaso,
Yeah, like he's like
Alcaraz.
that's what
Yeah.
he's gonna get. You know, Sule is coming back. If he's gonna stay, who knows? Barenchea, Hoyson, like these players are coming back. You know,
Mm.
Fajoli from injury, from suspension, uh, they're coming back. Like
Yeah.
that's the reality as well. So when people say give him the players, which players are we talking about? Because
Right.
these are the players we're being linked with, and I don't think that's what he needs. He needs. I tweeted out post game. People joke about it. I think he really needs Pogba, Vidal, Pirlo, and Tevez at this moment in time. And
Yeah.
obviously, every coach needs them. But you know what I mean. It's not that.
For Mandzukic, Marquisio, Bonucci,
But
Chiellini,
like
those. Yeah, yeah.
Marotta, when what he did, like, did anyone was anyone jumping for Mkhitaryan or Çalhanoğlu on the free? Like Di Marco coaching. I don't think anyone when he popped up was like, oh my god, Di Marco. Like, let's be
I
honest.
didn't know he was that good at Verona. I looked at him and I
Yeah,
was like,
no, nobody thought.
interesting prospect for sure. I thought defensively he was. I think he's improved a lot defensively, but I was like, yeah, good play. He could be good. I didn't know he had this in him.
No, but
Dimarco.
like that's what I'm like. That's you
Right.
can flip it with Cambiaso. Has
Mm-hmm.
Cambiaso improved this season? I think defensively improved
Yeah.
compared to Bologna, so I'll give him that. But like the Inter signings were not signings everybody was looking at and was like, oh my, Acerbi, was anyone jumping for Acerbi?
Yeah.
I don't believe that, you know. And look how he's playing, you know.
Mm.
So when people say coaching doesn't matter, coaching does matter, but also it's not that Inter was out there signing million like proven players. It wasn't the
Mm.
case. They made a Champions League final as well. They're looking good now. They made smart signings. I'll give Marotta that, but he's one of the
Yeah.
best in the business. So it is what it is,
Definitely.
you know. That helps obviously, but that's the
Mm.
route we're going into. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be young and it's gonna be free agents. That's the moment we're in as a club. Is he the right man? I don't know. People are debating. We need to bring somebody in who can win immediately. If people think that, they're probably gonna ask for Conte. That's it.
Mourinho. I don't think he ever would, but
No,
yeah,
but like
someone like
that's the coach you're going for. If you want to go again, if you accept another 2 years without actually really winning, you're gonna go a multi direction basically. You know, and you can win. Like you never know. Like you can pop up and you can smash it. Conte out of nowhere won with Juve, but then again, there were some good quality players in that team. You know, Pirlo, You still had Del Piero. You still had Buffon. You had Chiellini. Like you had good players in that team, really good players.
Absolutely.
However, we still have some good pieces in this team. I don't look at that team. I'm like I think there could be a very good spine in that team. Chesney, his wage, I get it, but he's a good goalkeeper. You have Bremer. Locatelli should be a centerpiece. He's not the way he plays now. I agree with that.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
Vlahovic. You have like you have some good pieces and good um,
young talent.
young talent you can
Yeah,
work with, and you can R&B comps, by the way. Let me remind me in a minute again. But you have some good pieces to actually um, work with, you know. But the question you now need to ask yourself is Allegri the right guy to take this project, um, to take this project forward? That's the biggest issue, or like that's the big question mark at
yeah.
this moment in time.
I don't think he is. I think you guys, yeah, like I said, I think it's just stale, stale. I think go and get, not Klopp in particular, someone like that. He was up and coming, did wonderful at Dortmund, and Liverpool. Plug him in. Let's give this guy a shot. Germany to Premier League, whatever. Who cares? It's something to believe in. It's something to believe in, and particularly going in the offensive direction, right? It's very similar. A lot of sports nowadays, not even just football, NFL in American football. Those are the ones that, particularly over the past few years, have done better. The
Yeah,
defensive ones, they're not really in style, except the teams like my Chicago Bears, because the Bears are good defense. We're stuck in the past, right? But here's the thing: in sports nowadays, it's a lot about scoring, 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 because that's the hardest thing to ultimately do. It's the hardest thing to do in football. Put the ball in the back of the net. You pay the most money to your striker usually, unless unless he's a De Bruyne. De Bruyne is, an offensive player, just in midfield, an attacking midfielder. You have to go in the forward direction. That's what if I was a Juve fan, yeah, I would want a different manager besides Allegri. Allegri, like you said, he's a legend, 100%. He's a ridiculously accomplished manager, but that is the past. You need to move and look into the future. Otherwise, this is where you get these clubs like Manchester United. They have offered little to nothing compared to their glory days post Sir Alex Ferguson, right?
yeah,
They
yeah.
haven't offered much. They hit a roadblock, and they have crap owners too that have done whatever. So it's like, yeah, they haven't found excellence like they have after their guy. Meanwhile, Real Madrid can go through manager after manager after manager, legend after legend after legend. Raul, Ronaldo, Benzema, all those guys don't play anymore, but they're still winning stuff. All those guys, Gareth Bale, all those guys have left and are still winning stuff because they move forward. Barcelona, another example of a club that look at the past. They crave the past glories, nostalgia. They've won a La Liga since Messi left, but he's still linked with them for some reason. Sometimes just out of nowhere, could be BS, but it just shows. It just shows like you need to move forward in a forward direction. Reflect on the past. You have a wonderful history, 30 whatever odd Scudettos and a European Cup or two. You need to move on though. Make history. Don't relive it.
That's
That
that.
should be the name of the game.
That's it.
That should,
That's it.
yeah.
That's it. R&B comps. You can click the link. You don't need to put on your camera. Actually, leave it on if you don't want. You can speak. I can bring you on like that.
Mm.
So you can join, and I will I will bring you on, and you can defend your guy. Finally. But no.
Who would you want as manager, if I could ask? Who would you want, or who are some names?
That's what I said. Like I didn't like. Obviously, I report news, Mota, whatever. I didn't make a decision. I haven't made a decision because one, I need
Mm.
to see what the club really wants. I
Of
need to
course.
see what the club really wants before I can say yes. And I can only make up that my mind when we get to a point where the rumors are so strong that Allegri is going to leave. At that point, you will get the leaks of these are the
Mhm.
names being linked, and also these are the players, and then I can make a decision in terms of like, man, we should be going this way or we should be going that way based on my own opinion. So as of now, I'm not really sure. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really sure because I get conflicting reports also with links as well. We've been linked with Zakanya and Felipe Anderson. And that makes me a bit doubtful. And
Yeah,
then
those
we,
are I love those players. That's at a Lazio level. The best we can do, Coppa Italia, win that. Yeah, we've done that. I've seen that. One of the best days of my life when we beat Atalanta. It was a midweek final too, which was kind of weird, but um, we could win the Conference League maybe, and Europa League would be a big ask. But that's Lazio's ceiling most of the time. You're Juventus. You should be
yeah, that
doing
but
probably a bit better than Zakanya. Could be a squad player, possibly
yeah, but
not as a starter.
what
Felipe
it is?
Anderson.
We have players in the starting 11 who I think could be squad players. We need
Yep.
starting 11 players, and that's why I'm like, so that's why I'm getting mixed signals. I'm not sure if I need to say I want Mota. I'm not sure if I need to say I want a more experienced coach, if that makes sense. I'm just
Mhm.
waiting and to wait and see how this is playing out because somebody said that very early in the chat, and I need to check now because I think Bologna won on Friday.
It did.
Let me see. So they have
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So, and we have a game more. So if Bologna win their game in hand, we only are 9 points ahead. And he
Yeah.
left. I think you. Oh no, your mic is. Your.
Yeah,
If
my
we
bad.
if Bologna win their game in hand, we are only 9 points ahead of him. It was 14 last week, basically. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't want to focus on top four. However, it's gonna be the focus the next couple of days because
Yeah.
they made it a thing again because of their own bad performances. That's what happened,
100%.
because 14 points, it should be done. If Bologna win their game in hand, it's 9 points. And at that point, you still need to play away to Bologna. You're making it very hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And again, that's coaching. I think your camera is switched off.
Yeah, my bad, bro. It's
No,
just
no, I was just saying. Um, so that's an issue. So that's why I struggle to focus on coach talk because at the end of the day, we shouldn't be worrying on top four. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's a big worry. It should not be the case. And
right.
we will play tougher games now because actually this was a very easy run in because now you play Frosinone at home, but then it gets tricky because I wrote it down. You go away to Napoli, you come back, you play Atalanta, then you play Genoa, then you play Lazio away in the league, Lazio at home in the Coppa, Fiorentina in the league, Torino in the league, then Lazio again, then you have Milan in the league, Roma away, and then the final two games are Bologna away. Like, this was an easy stretch. After Frosinone, which should be easy, it
Mm.
gets crazy for us. It gets crazy, and I don't know
Yeah.
who Bologna are playing. By the way, let me check who they need to play. They play Verona, they play Lazio, Bologna,
Yeah, tomorrow.
Atalanta, Inter.
Be a good game.
And let me see, Roma again, Napoli, us. Are they gonna keep up? Like, you should be getting top four with no issue. Um, that should be no problem.
You'll
Let
get
me.
I think you'll get it. You know what it is though? You might sweat it out. Like you might only get top 4 by 5.
That.
I wouldn't be surprised because you could drop some more points. You could. That's not out of the realm of possibility. Like you said on your schedule for Juventus, you've got. I mean, you should beat Frosinone. If you don't beat Frosinone, anybody who says Allegri out, like they should receive zero criticism. Absolutely zero criticism. You can't beat Frosinone. He should be
Yeah.
fired. He should be fired if you can't win that game. So I think you'll win that. Napoli away, you should be beating them, but your record with Napoli away, I think over the past few years has been hit or miss. They're terrible though, so you should be at least getting a 1-0, 2-0 win, something like that. Atalanta will give you a very good game. I
Yeah, they
wouldn't be
will.
surprised if they won that. I would not be surprised if they won that.
They will.
They play some good football, man. Today they sliced up a really poor Sassuolo team.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
fighting relegation.
but,
They're
but
down there.
Atalanta have been playing like that against a lot of teams, so fair play to them. Genoa, should be beating them, but they'll make it tough. They will make it tough, Gilardino.
I
They will make it tough.
There's no game I will go into from now until the end of the season where I can say we should be beating them, but I didn't even think we were gonna beat Verona. By the way, R&B, if you're in, you can speak, and then I
Yeah,
can
big up, Barbie.
if you say because I cannot hear you as of now. So um, if not, you need to jump in again and reconnect the mic because we cannot hear you at this moment in time. So do that as well. Um, but yeah, like when we lost against Inter, I came on and said the season is over. What I mean with the season is over is that we only have the Coppa Italia to play for, and imagine if you don't win that now, being Allegri. You know,
Yeah.
and there's a good possibility we will not beat Lazio over 2 legs. There's a good possibility. The way we play, it's very, very possible that we don't beat Lazio over 2 legs. But if he doesn't win the Coppa Italia, and I want to win it, but actually I'm also very interested to see how he will spin that, in terms of if you don't win it, because there's nothing left. And now we can hear you, I think, if you can say something.
Can you hear me, Ella?
I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Hear me?
We
All
can
right,
hear
sweet.
you. I will ask no. I need to ask you because I think you have been on this channel once, right? Very early.
I don't think so. No, I don't think I've
No.
been on it. This is my first time. Yeah.
Oh,
Big up, bro. Nice to meet
Big
you,
up,
man.
big up yourself. Big up Ali. Big up Bianca Zone.
I'm gonna ask you because we debate on during the chat so many times. No, I'll give you the floor. You can speak. Because you haven't spoken in the chat, but now you can speak. Really. So have your say. Overall.
On the game, on today's game, or
yeah, talk about today's game. Because that's.
I mean, let's be honest. February, and I know I've tried to defend Allegri, but February for me is completely all on Allegri. Like, I'm sorry, how you can drop points to Verona away, who are battling relegation, how you cannot, and what I don't understand is his team selections make zero sense as well. Why is he not playing Alcaraz? I'm sorry, and I think you said it in last week's show, or a show a couple of days ago. I can't remember that. Allegri was the one who chose to get Alcaraz. Threat, a goal, and he takes him off. I mean, I don't understand. And I've said it, when he does things good, I'll give him praise. But February, I'm sorry, it's been a complete disaster. And I didn't watch the first 20 minutes of today's game because I was out. But we just didn't look threatening. We didn't look threatening at all. Defensively, we looked a mess. I mean, it's no surprise because Sandro's playing and Rugani. I'm not going to go in on Rugani because he's been solid all season. But you see it when Bremer's out. Defensively we don't look great, and Danilo I don't think had a great game. I don't think Danilo had a great game today.
No,
yeah,
he did. The Alcaraz one, it is what it is. My issue with the Alcaraz one today was he brought him on, but I don't think it was right to take off Yildiz.
I agree. He should have taken off Rabiot, and I know Rabiot scored the goal, but
yeah, he had a poor
Rabiot
game.
had a shocking game. He was horrible without the goal. It was a good finish, but
the first half, Rabiot got in so many good spaces where if the final pass was so good, you could have put Yildiz one-on-one with the goalkeeper a couple of times, but the decision making was really poor. But I would have pulled out McKennie or Alcaraz, one of McKennie or Rabiot, because my issue with those players are on the ball, they're very limited. I watched Alcaraz what was it, 20 minutes, and he didn't have many touches. But
didn't McKennie play on right back? He started the game at right back.
I hate when Allegri does that.
He switched.
I think and you know why he does that? Allegri is the kind of coach where if he does something wild and audacious and out of the box for one time and it works, even if because I think it was McKennie Frosinone. Played a right wing back. I think he was the cross to the Vlahovic header, right?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, at the cross. Yeah.
Did that once. And he's still thinking in the back. I bet all the money in the world that Allegri in the back of his head is like, oh, well, it worked that one time. I'm going to do it again. No, that was the outlier. It worked that once. He bailed you out with a good cross and Vlahovic header. Don't do that again because it just don't really work.
But with
He does.
Alcaraz today, and again, not many touches. So I'm not gonna say people are saying, oh, he had a good game. I cannot base that on that cameo. However, what I can pick out from that small cameo from Alcaraz, it's compared to McKennie and Rabiot, it's a world of difference because he plays vertically. He runs with the ball and he goes straight forward. That's how he thinks. When you have McKennie and Rabiot picking up the ball, needing a couple of touches, and that's not really a dig toward McKennie, by the way, because that's who he is. I cannot expect him to do different stuff. But when you're chasing a game, I thought that was an issue, and then he topped it off with taking out Vlahovic for Milik. I'm like, I don't even know what the idea behind that was as well.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. I did not understand that with 10 minutes ago. It makes zero sense.
The only thing, and I'm not a medical person, so I'm not working at a Juve medical team. Maybe it was we want to keep we want to be careful with him because of fitness concerns.
It was
Maybe
10 minutes. It was 10 minutes. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying. Like I was watching, obviously Newcastle too. I was watching like Harvey Barnes took him off with a half hour to go. I get that. He's just come back from an injury. I was pissed off, but like, okay, I get that. That's 30 minutes versus 10. So you're right, actually. You're right.
Some of the decisions are very strange now. They are very strange, and I think when people tell me don't listen to the post game comments, we need to listen to them because I will ask you, RMB. I will call you that because I'm not going to expose your real. But what do you think of just being more? Should I call it event? Like we play a relegation side, and throughout that game, I felt like we are one of those teams. That's how it came across. We play to their level, and that should, like 3 years into the job, isn't that a big worry for you? No matter who the players are, because it's not that Bologna have a better squad than us, but they impose their will, or they try to impose their will. They try to play their style no matter what, and it works for them. But it feels like we don't even know what our style is. Our style is keep it close, and you know what? We have better players, so we'll win.
Individual brilliance.
This guy confuses me. He's very confusing. But no, like to your point, it's very worrying. The fact that we can't beat a relegation team in itself is worrying, but the fact that we don't have a sense of style is even more worrying.
It's not the first time you struggle against a relegation team too. I think one of your other losses this year was the Sassuolo. I think they beat you 4-2, 4-3. Yeah, that was a while ago, but still. And then, like you said, Ale, about the run that you've been on, it's supposed to be an easy one. Even just grind out the 1-0
until the end of the
drop
season.
Points in 4.
Yeah,
so
that's like
it's not the first time you struggle against a relegation team lately.
My biggest thing is with Allegri is that I don't see an identity 3 years in. That's just my biggest issue. Even if our identity was we're going to be a very good counter-attacking team, I could somehow live with that, if it's very effective, but we are not even that, so I'm not really sure what the idea is. Today, again, the spacing, like when we sit back, the spacing between our attackers and everybody else, it's an issue. And then people come out and say, oh, Vlahovic was terrible. And I'm like, we're not helping these players. Like, we're just not helping them. I need to highlight that moment where Vlahovic, again, picks up the ball in midfield. And he needed to wait a couple of seconds before Alexandro finally crossed midfield so he can lay it off. And I'm like, it's too late. Everybody from Verona is back now, and we go backwards.
You let them regroup. Get back in shape and everything.
And even Chesney today, it was a corner for Verona somehow, and they They were with a lot of people in the box. Instead of just playing it straight to Cambiaso and get the pace into the game, he's like, no, let's wait, compose. I'm like, that's the mindset of the team now. It is. And it is an issue. It really is an issue. And again, he talks about we still need to manage top four. The fact that you could be 9 points compared to 14 points in like 1-2 weeks time, that's just on you. Like you're making it
100%.
hard on yourself at this moment in time because the games that are coming are much more difficult. You're not gonna play 3 relegation sides in the space of, I don't know, was it 14 days? It's not gonna happen. I just told you what the games are. It's not gonna get easier from now until the end of the season. But R&B, because you said it's the players, and I agree, by the way. Like it's like if you
Hmm.
ask me, should you replace players, I'm gonna list you a big, I'm gonna make you a big list. However, they're still better than a lot of teams in the league. That's like the squad is much better than a lot of teams. That's my only thing. It's not as good as what I want for this club. We're far
Hmm.
off that. I get that. However, would you agree that it's much easier for the club to change one person compared to 14, I guess, or 15, or whatever, or 10, depending on how many players you rate? Isn't that the decision the club should be making now, at the end of the season? Or are you still like, no, given better players? Because when people talk about better players, I'm not sure if you're one of those people. What do they mean with better players? Because the players we're being linked with, I don't think are the players many believe Allegri needs at this moment in time.
No, you make a good point. I think that it is easier changing one person compared to like I don't know, like you said, 9, 10 players. But I think I said this before, and I think maybe it was hard for me to articulate through through chat. But listen, I've got no issues with replacing Allegri. No issues at all with replacing Allegri. But like my issue is, I'm sick of not winning. We've not won the title in what 4 or 5 years.
It's
You
going to
know,
be 4 now, I think.
4 years exactly. So
No, Napoli, Milan, Napoli, Inter. So 3. No, 4.
three.
It's
So
4.
no,
No,
it is
Pirlo and 3
4 years.
Four
It
times.
is
No,
four.
season, four
4
seasons,
seasons.
5 years.
Twice Inter, Napoli,
Yeah,
Milan. Yeah.
it's been a
Yeah,
while. It's been a while,
yeah,
basically.
it is full. But essentially, all I'm saying is I'm sick of not winning the title. And it's not like we've come close. No, we've been awful. We've been
Mm,
battling for top four, um,
mm.
and this is not what this club is about. And I don't want to switch this topic to Motta, but like my only worry with Motta is and I know I've said this before, but I just don't want another. I don't want to end up like Arsenal or Man United, where we're just going to go seasons on seasons on seasons on seasons without winning any trophies or the title. Sorry,
Mm.
Because the Coppa Italia, it's a decent trophy to win, but it's not.
No, I
It's not the
agree.
league.
Yeah.
And that's my only concern with Moss. Obviously, if he comes, I'll support him. I'm not going to say, oh, I don't want him, because he's doing great with Bologna. He's doing fantastic with Bologna. Where are Bologna now? Like 5th place? Are they now 5th?
Yeah, they're 5th. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Actually,
the
could
fifth.
play Champions League football next year.
5th
That is
place is
not a wrong
5th
possibility.
place
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Champions
true.
League football next season for Italy as of now.
That's true. But actually, I've got a question for you. Actually, if the options were between De Zerbi and Motta, who would you take?
Oh, um, I like Mota more, if I'm being completely honest, because I have a feeling it's more control.
More control.
It's
Yeah,
more.
that's fair. That's
It's
fair.
more.
Defensively, I think Malta's
Yeah,
a
it's
bit better.
more like
Yeah,
some more.
more balance.
Yeah, there's more
Yeah,
balance to it. Whereas when I see the Zerbi, and I like the idea of the Zerbi, but
I do too.
it's he's still a relatively young coach, by the way. So is
Yeah, he's
Mota.
got
But when I
time.
watch the Zerbi, at times I'm like, you're making the same mistakes over and over again. You need to adapt a little bit. I get that you have a style of play and it's good, but you also need
Yeah,
to acknowledge at times that you're not the better side, and you need to build on some sort of, defense mechanism to deal with it. So that's what I think, personally, and also like the job Malta has been doing in Syria has also been better than the Zerbi's job has been good, but like that Bologna side, I don't think anyone was looking. Like they lost a lot of players as well. Like they
they did.
Schoten,
yeah, they did.
Arnautovic,
That's
they
true.
lost a lot of players, and somehow he popped up again. So, but when I agree, I want to win. I want to win, but everybody thought Allegri was the coach to win with this team. Is there a coach you have in mind that's gonna come in and win again? immediately because
I mean,
there's only one name out there people think he's gonna make it happen. But do you want to go? If you go down that route again, that means it's the end of a lot of players we have on loan and at the team at this moment in time. And you're gonna sign certain players that at one point when you get stale again, you're like, okay, now we need to change. You're gonna need to adapt again because there are gonna be certain players in this team that are not really gonna be up for it. So is it Conte you want? R&B? Is that
for me, I mean, there are a couple of options. Zidane, I would love Zidane, but we are not going to get Zidane. I think Zidane wants
You don't hire
the French job.
Italian coaches. I think you've had 2 in your history non-Italian. I believe it was Deschamps.
Deschamps?
There's a dude in the 70s that was.
It's Deschamps for sure, but
There's another one. There's another one, a non-Italian that you hired as your man. I think it was the 70s.
I cannot recall. But so Zidane is not gonna happen. R&B. So who
Yeah.
else?
It would be Conte because Conte he's a serial winner. He's won it. He's won it in England. He's won it in Italy. He's got experience of coaching the national team. He's got national team to a semi-final. Was it quarter or semi-finals of Euros when it was a very poor Italy team. For me, Conte is the number one option. But if it's not Conte, then yeah, Motta or probably Motta. But the only coach that I would absolutely not want is Italiano. For me, Italiano would be a complete disaster. And I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me.
I don't. I'm not.
But for me, Italiano would be a disaster. For me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him, and you know why? Number one, below Fiorentina this season and last season were competitive in all their competitions. I know the league wasn't amazing, and they obviously benefited from Juve the Euro ban. But to be fair, they did have they had a great run Conference League final in the Coppa Italia. They played 2 good sides.
They should have won the Conference League against West Ham.
Yeah, they outplayed West Ham a lot of it, but West Ham just took that moment. Yeah. But I would still say Italiano is like competitive. Again, way more than on paper that they look like. And remember, Fiorentina over the years haven't been anything amazing, right? They're not the 90s Rui Costa, Batistuta days. Definitely not. So, and they've rebuilt well. And the other thing I like about Italiano is I know what kind of players he likes. And I know how they're gonna play football. Like I think they could use some wingers, definitely. But like the center backs, I know what kind of center back Italiano would buy. I know what kind of midfielders he rates, and that would come to Fiorentina, strikers, etc. I know what he's. I know the game plan and the tactics, and sometimes the execution isn't great. Sometimes the subs. But I do like him. Like I understand him as a manager, and if he came to a Juve, that would be a good appointment in my opinion. But I could see the drawbacks.
Yeah, I do hear what you're saying, but for me, and I have watched a decent amount of Fiorentina. I know he just seems like a coach that isn't going to bring you trophies. He's not going to get you competing. And I think if he came to Juve next season, I honestly do not think he would get us competing, even for the title. I don't think he'd. I think we'd be in another.
Yeah, I don't think he would year one. I don't think he would year one. If you hired him next season, if you said in 4 years, or sorry, in next season, maybe not, but he'll get you top 4, and then the season after, could you compete for a title? I wouldn't be surprised because again, the recruitment actually. Like you said, Ale, earlier, we know what kind of players Juve are going to be bringing in. They're not Allegri players per se. They're players that are young, free agents, etc. Fiorentina, like I said, I know what kind of players they're going to bring in. He likes his center backs strong, durable, physical, good in the air. And then I know these are generic things, but for me, they have a good identity, and I think Italiano would bring that. For sure. But I do get it why you say, like, I don't know if you would win anything guaranteed. Because it's like Conference League final, Inter Milan, the Coppa Italia final, which they're in again, by the way. They are in the semifinals of the, what's it called? The Coppa Italia. So they could.
We know what also is, well, I think people also forget, or I don't want to jinx it. It should, like, no, jinx it. you're gonna play Champions League football next season. Like surely, even if it's nine,
Yeah.
if Bologna win 9 points, if Allegri messes this up, then this is an all-time collapse. Like you cannot mess this up. So there are gonna be more games next season as well. You need to keep that in mind. They're gonna be more, even more. Like it's gonna be 8 games in the Champions League next
Mm-hmm.
season. It's gonna change completely. And actually, even after that, it's almost impossible to go out in the first round, or you need to have an absolute disaster performance in those 8 games. So you're gonna play a lot of games next season.
Yeah.
As somebody said, Conte's not gonna win you the Champions League. That's that's the
He
last
is.
of
He is
our.
poor in
Yeah,
Europe.
but even that,
Yeah.
we shouldn't be thinking about winning the Champions League anytime soon. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I
that's
100%.
agree.
like
Agreed.
we should go in the Champions League and we shouldn't be embarrassed. That's it. You play every single game. You hope to win every single game. You play to win. I get it. But if we don't win the Champions League, I'm not gonna say, oh my god, like we haven't won it when we were dominating. So fine,
You won it 95 against Ajax
6,
last time.
6.
96.
So
And then you had one in 80s.
and then we lost. We lost like 5 finals, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've watched 3 of them live, which is bad. But whatever.
Oh.
The issue is, there's gonna be more games next season. It's gonna be more games. And today, Alexandro, I think was it Alexandro? I think it was Alexandro, saying that if you play 2 more games, it gets a bit more tricky. And he was referring to that we played a Monday and then a Saturday again, so it was basically a week. And I was like, it's the first time this year. And I don't know, like if the team is now already looking at it and be like, oh, it's tough, and what's gonna happen next season, R&B? Because let's say, no, do you think there's a possibility Allegri's gonna say first, and 2, with more games next season, how do you see this going better compared to actually backwards?
I definitely see that I definitely see a world in which Allegri's staying next
Mhm.
year. But I do, because
You too.
next I think, and I think a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I think he's going to play out his final year in his contract next year. I think he is going to stay at the end of the season. And I think Romeo Agresti said it, that he thinks Allegri's going to leave, but I don't know. I've got a feeling that he is going to end up staying and play out his final season.
Just
what
real
was the
quick,
second part of
Allegri
your
has a good.
question?
Sorry, just real quick. Allegri has a good relationship with the owners. Sorry to cut you off. Right? He has a good relationship
No,
with
no, you're good.
already.
Yes.
So there you go. That's another reason I think he's gonna stay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wait,
Go on.
what was the second part of your question, Ale?
Playing more games, do you think like we're gonna act like, do you, because if Allegri stays and we're gonna play more games, I think we're gonna take steps back even more so in the league? Or do you not agree with me? Because the improvement he's getting, and I think we'll bring him more quality. However, I don't think it's the quality I think he needs at this stage. So I think we're gonna take a step back even more so next season. More
Yeah,
games.
I mean the fact that we're struggling with 1 game a week, I mean it's quite disgusting, really. Because I mean, there's no excuses. Last season, I understand the excuses for Allegri last season. I gave Allegri a lot of leeway last season because of the whole points deduction thing and whatever.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if we're being realistic here, I mean, there is not many coaches that would
I agree. I said
do
so.
better than Allegri last
Yeah.
season in terms of keeping the whole squad together. But this season, there's no excuses. There's no turmoil. And yes, you can say Pogba's out and Fagioli, whatever. But we've got one game a week, and we're struggling against relegation teams. And for me, that's just completely not on. And how many points are we behind Inter now? Is it like 9?
I think it's 9 with the game in hand. Yeah.
9 with the game in hand. So Inter are going to win the game in hand. So it's 12. I mean, to me, that's just completely unacceptable, really.
Yeah.
We should be competing with Inter. Yes, I understand Inter have a far better squad than them, but we should be a lot closer. The games we've dropped points to,
Exactly.
we've got 1 point in our last, or 2 points in our last 4 games.
Yep.
It's not. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable. It's not.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if we do not win the Coppa Italia this season. I like we should be locked up and throw away the key, because how can you not win the Coppa Italia when Milan are out, Inter are out, Napoli are out? I think Napoli are out as well.
out against Frosinone.
Napoli are out
The
as well. So I'm sorry,
the semifinals in the Coppa Italia are Fiorentina, Atalanta, and obviously My guys versus
Juve
your
and
guys.
Lazio. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So if Allegri is not able to win that cup, I'm sorry, it's a disgrace. Like,
It
you
is.
know,
It
he
is.
should be winning that trophy.
He should be
You know,
winning that trophy.
And
like
and
minimum.
the greatest crime that this is that Juve have done, and that Allegri and the players for you guys have done, the greatest crime that you've committed is the fact that we don't have a good record against Juve away. We don't. I think I've seen it was the Ciro Immobile brace in 2018. It's the only time I've seen Lazio beat Juve. It
That was in the
was
Coppa
the only
Italia,
time.
right? Wasn't it?
Was it a league
I
game? I
think.
think it was a league game. I
Really?
remember. I'm pretty sure it was a league game. Let me
Could be
Well,
double
a
when
check.
they
league.
beat us 2-1,
Yeah, it
that
was
was
a
a league game.
Immobile
Yeah, that was a
brace.
league
Oh,
game. I remember
I remember
Costa
that. I
scored.
remember. Now I remember it. I
Yeah,
do
well, it
remember.
was a league game.
17.
Yeah.
It was with the
Was that
blue
the
shirt. I have that shirt. I have the blue shirt. Yeah, with the
wait? Is that
Immobile.
the game where Dybala missed the penalty in the last second? Is that the game you're talking about?
Yes,
The one where
Yeah,
Dybala
yeah,
yes,
missed.
yeah, yeah.
yes,
He missed
yes.
the penalty.
What's his name? Strakosha saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was genuinely one of the. Oh my god, just what a game. But other than that, we suck away to Juve. So the fact that I kind of feel okay going into that game, that in itself should be a warning sign or a concern.
Oh, wait,
Lazio,
bro!
we are
I just
nothing
caught that you're a
compared to you
Lazio. I
guys.
just caught that you. I thought you were a Juve fan. I just caught that you're a
No,
Lazio
no,
fan.
No,
he's a Lazio fan. He's a
I
Lazio
just
fan.
yeah,
clocked this whole time. I thought you were
yeah,
No,
a
man.
Juve
no,
fan.
he's a Lazio fan. He's a Lazio
Oh,
fan.
yeah. I got about 8 different what's it called? 8 different Lazio shirts. I've been a fan for about 7 years. So, but yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah,
No,
actually longer than 7 years, 2015. So nah, but I think that's for me. If I was a Juve fan, I'd be pretty pissed off that a Lazio fan is kind of feeling confident over 2 legs
yeah.
against.
And where are you guys in the table? Like eighth? Is it eighth? Seventh?
Exactly, exactly.
Where are you guys in the table?
Yeah, we're eighth.
Eighth. Yeah. Yeah.
Albeit that
It's
that
not.
that that 4 through 10 is only 9 points, so things can change a
Yeah.
lot. But yeah, we're
I mean,
eighth place.
over 2 legs, I'm confident, but the way we've been playing recently, it doesn't.
I feel
I'm
okay.
not so
playing you
sure.
guys.
You know.
I feel a little bit confident, more confident than a few weeks ago for sure. But yeah, I do think you'll advance over those 2 legs. But I think the biggest part of that tie too, I'm happy that it's at the Olympico for the second leg.
Yeah.
Because I think what we can do is get a draw, 1-0 loss. It tie's still on. The tie is still on at the Olympico. And like we've seen with Juve over the past few games, if you apply pressure to them, if the back's against the wall, you can crumble a bit to way worse teams than us. The way worse teams than us.
I agree.
So I do feel good about that. But yeah, it's looking it's looking dicey for you
Yeah,
guys.
it's not looking. Yeah, it's not looking good because you have like the season is kind of overish. Yes, the Coppa Italia, but the feeling is, and that's how the team plays as well. And it's an issue. It's a really issue, and it's also a coaching thing because you need to galvanize your team. But today I saw them, and I predicted 1-1 because I didn't envision a way to win because I've watched you for so long. Everybody has to know that when they're down and when they're in these type of games, they can lose to everyone. And actually today, if we lost today, I don't think anyone would have said, "Oh my God, that's
That's a shock.
or that's undeserved." Like Verona didn't deserve to win because we had 2 shots and we put them away. That was kind of it. Even the last minute, I never had a feeling we're gonna score. That's also a thing. When we're chasing a game, you never
Facts.
really have the feeling we're gonna get back. Like we're gonna do it. Like it's so strange and it's not a good thing to have. It's not a good, you know, personality for a squad to have. And going now into Frosinone, I'm not confident playing Frosinone at home. Like they're not good, but I'm not confident at all. There's no reason to be confident for going into the game. And I saw already not excuses, but like, oh, Danilo's not gonna be there. I'm like, we're playing
Yeah, I mean,
Frosinone, and actually he wasn't good again today. Like it like come on, like who do Frosinone have at the back? Like I don't know out of the top of my head. You know, is it Romagnoli? Do they have a Romagnoli at the back?
Yeah, they had Simone
Yeah,
Romagnoli, I
like
believe.
which is their captain, I think, as well. So other than
Paul
that,
Rolla,
like it's
Monterrisi.
we should.
Yeah.
Like I want to go into the Frosinone game and be like, yeah, we're gonna smash them like 3-0, 4-0. That's what we should be doing. You know, that's what we should be doing. And even if you don't win 4-0 and you win 2-0, but it needs to be like a
Win.
4-0 type of game where you miss chances after chance. When we were winning games, and I remember that good. It was a couple of months, and I came on one stream and I got ripped because I said we're not creating chances, and like scoring from set pieces is good, but when it becomes too much, and it was a period where it became too much, I'm like, it's a bit worry. Oh, but set pieces are goals. They are goals. I never said they were not goals. However, if that's your main outlet in a four
That's it.
game winning streak, it's a problem. We don't create clear cut open chances. Everybody was blaming Chiesa today. He should have gotten on target, but like that's not a clear cut chance, you know, because if that in that position was another player, it wasn't viewed to be a chance. You view it as a chance because it was Chiesa from that position. But if it
Yeah.
was another player, you wouldn't be viewing that as a chance. You know, Vlahovic, did he get a sniff? I ripped him because he should have scored before that pen. You know, I don't know how he blazed that over the bar. So okay, he took the pen, but other than that, I cannot recall moments where I'm like, man, we're gonna score here. You know, or we had a moment in the game where we're putting so much pressure on them that I was like, we're gonna score goals. You know,
Right.
that I
There
never
were,
had a
yeah, you're
feeling.
right. You're right. I was watching that game on the side too. Whenever I looked over at Juve, it's just like slow. It's predictable. It's like, yeah, they're trying, but what they're trying. You can that's a crazy thing. You can apply effort, but not really know what you're going where you're doing. But you're trying. So you know, people be like, oh, at least do they know what they're doing? Has their manager set them out to a position to succeed? Is their game plan? Is their formula to win this game? Is their tactics cohesive with the quality of the score? No, no. And Verona were just like man to man, let's do our job. And we can get something out of it, even though they're not, yeah, they're very, very struggling side with some, you know, some players that are like, okay, he could be decent. Um, but yeah, just yeah, I didn't think you guys played good today. But yeah, it's not a surprise given the recent form. When they scored that first goal, one of my Milan buddies who likes to bet was like, "Oh, time to bet on Juve," and I'm like, "Don't do it, bro." He's like, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Have you seen them play these games recently against relegation teams? They ain't gonna get the win. They ain't gonna get the win. Don't bet on that." So it's like, yeah, I don't, I yeah, I 100%. I can understand why you and other Juve fans are frustrated.
It
It's
is.
ridiculous.
Um, I cannot read your name. Is your name Spiros? I'm not sure, but you can call in by clicking the link I just put in the chat. You don't need to put on your camera. Um, just the mic, and you can chat like R&B comes. If you do so, I will keep the stream running for a bit longer. Otherwise, I'm gonna wrap it up soon. Um, also, people, thanks for joining. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new as well.
Mm.
And Leicester, he's not saying Lazio are good, you know, or like are amazing. He's like he's very realistic with it. Like he's just comparing certain things. However, um, also, Shail, thanks for the comment. I'm not gonna speak about other I'll do my thing. You know, I speak my mind. I speak my piece. I say what I think about the club. You know, and everybody can agree, disagree. It's fair. You know, R&B comp. He doesn't agree with me most of the time, but he came on, had to say it is what it is. You know, so if other people have a different view, fine. You know, I'm not here to change anyone's mind. I can debate you and give you my reasonings why I think certain things are not okay, and that's it. We can move. And we can move on. Let me bring somebody else in really quick. Wait, there are two people, and I'm a bit confused now. Wait. Who's on? Okay, that's one. And who's the other one? I can hear you. What's your name? Anas. Wait. Let me bring both of you on really quickly because let me bring that one on. Anos was it right? So you're on. You can have your say first. What do you make of the game of today, or just the situation in general?
Yeah, the game, man. It's always depressing to watch these games. Really, recently, like I don't enjoy. Like even I wake up in the mornings, like, oh man, they're playing now. I can't stand this, but I gotta watch it anyway. And yeah, I mean, all I have to say, like you said, everything in this life. But I agree with almost everything you say. Like the match in itself, like I went into it like, yeah, we're gonna draw the game, especially with the moment you mentioned that Vlahovic wanted to wait for Alexandro. Like,
Yeah,
pass the ball, man. Come on. Like, think. It's really frustrating with the team recently. I'm not very confident into the Coppa Italia too. Like, especially with got a Lazio fan here. So
the Coppa Italia thing. The thing we have going is there's still a couple of games to build up for that. So it's not immediately. So you can somehow find your form, and with form I mean be just solid, and go the old school way again. So that's the only good thing at the moment. But Spiros, what do you think about the? Wait, it is Spiros, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
correct.
What do you think, just in general, of the moment? Because we dropped off. Like the February has been a
Yeah,
disaster.
yes, I know. To be honest, I was not surprised. I was kind of expecting it, and it's like I'm not even angry anymore or sad or something. Like I watch the games and like I laugh, and I'm like, yeah, okay, okay. And now he's gonna put Sandro, okay, and this is what happens, okay. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Um, I think, to be honest, we're gonna make it tougher for ourselves. I think we're gonna lose more games. To be honest, I think so.
Hmm.
And I think we're gonna scrape it in the end. To be honest, I think it's gonna be like this, like last year. I think 2 years ago. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like this.
That would
And
be.
I also think. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I also think that we're gonna lose the Coppa Italia as well. Sorry for my English, because I just cannot have this confidence with Allegri. I just don't feel it, to be honest.
That like if we go from chasing Inter, even if it was a false image, to scraping top four when you're 14 points ahead, then you have done a terrible job. Because yeah, we can praise you for being up there second, but if you collapse so much, then there's no praise anymore, because a season
Of
is
course, yeah.
38 games for us at least.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And the Coppa
exactly.
Italia. So if you take the good, you also need to take the bad, and this is a bad. And actually, funnily enough, um, this morning I saw to the sport director saying that it's not fair, or like it's disgusting the way people talk about Allegri at times. And they made on the same day they made a front page saying, Vlahovic, are you at least present in terms of kind of save us because he was out? And in December, around this time in December, a bit earlier, their front page was, Vlahovic, actually you're not good enough, blah blah blah. So they
Yeah,
can
yeah.
say these things, but then when it comes to Allegri, it's a completely different approach. Uh, Anos, was it right? Anos.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you think that the media is protecting Allegri way too much, and going back to what he has done in the past rather than what's happened in the last 3 years?
Yes, 100%, especially with Tutu Sport. I like to call it Tutu Circus. Like they really don't care about. They want to criticize Allegri. Like they just have to praise, praise, praise blindly, and just don't care about. Oh, we need to criticize him on this. Like just stuck in the past, just like all of Italian football, and just praising him for absolutely something that doesn't befit the greatness of this club, the history of this club. Why people support it. They want to win, but no, just let's just continue on praising in the past and forget about what's going on now with Allegri. With every single point we drop against Empoli. Udinese, and now Verona. Like I expected, like I said, to
Uh,
drop points today, basically. And with Tutto Sport too, like just blame the players, blame the player. Like Vlahovic, like I don't know what is like. It's the scapegoat. Like just to blame on Vlahovic or blame on Chiesa or blame on any other players, and they don't blame the players that actually need to be blamed, just like Rabio, um, McKennie from time to time, since he is kind of decent this season, but well, his quality isn't the best.
he's a limited
Um,
skill set player, but he does the few things well. He has a few things he's good at, but yeah, he's not like an amazing player.
yeah,
But
he's not Juventus
he's having an all
quality,
right season. Yeah, at best he's a
basically.
squad player. At best. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Danilo too, which is basically just the
Danilo's
Juventus page, basically praising him as a captain or a leader for this club. It's kind of insulting to me too, like how many great leaders came to this club,
Uh,
and you got
Mhm.
praising Danilo. And basically for me, sorry, cutting you, Ale, if you want to say something.
no,
Um,
on Danilo, because you can. Yesterday, the club put out like the video for the record. I don't know if anyone watched that, and Allegri spoke
no,
about
I
it.
haven't.
He spoke about it, Danilo, and he said, you know what, he played for Real Madrid, Man City, and he brings great leadership, but he didn't really talk about what he adds on the pitch. That's my issue. When he can be a good leader, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, so he could be one of the best leaders out there. However, if I look at my captain also needs to be probably the best player on the pitch. That's how I view it. You know, when players look at my captain on the pitch, he can be a good leader. However, are you the best guy out there? Are you a guy that
Or
makes that's or are you a key
consistent.
or consistent like
Consistent.
Henderson? Henderson wasn't a top quality footballer. However, he was consistent in what he needed to do. And everybody looked at Henderson and everybody thought he's a vital piece of this Liverpool midfield when they were dominating, doing the hard work, the dirty work, whatever. When I look at Danilo, I'm like, if you don't play and he's gonna be injured, I'm not gonna miss you. Like I'm not gonna miss you. So do you think that's also more of an issue because he gets portrayed like oh a good leader. However, me personally, I don't know if how you see it, Anos, but my captain, I wanted to be also the best player on the pitch. Basically, Buffon, Del Piero, Chiellini, they were the best players on the pitch every single week. You know, and players looked at him and they knew what the standard was. He's the captain, but hey, he's also the best player. So I better play up to it. Otherwise, we will have an issue. I think that's my issue. I don't know if you agree with that. You know.
And even with the captain armband, like I don't even think you need the captain armband to be a leader on the pitch.
Mhm.
Like
I agree.
Mandzukic and Tevez, they
Yeah.
were leaders on the pitch
Yeah.
because they were playing consistent and they provide for the team and everyone win games. Like you just need to be a decent player to be for other players to follow you. Even like you said in the locker room, maybe he's like the best leader in the locker room at the moment. Which I don't view any of these players, by the way, as a
Mhm.
captain for Juventus. Even Vlahovic or and some
I
people
agree.
claim Keza could be a
No.
leader, but I
Chiesa's
don't view
injured too
them.
much. It's not his
Exactly,
fault,
he doesn't
but yeah,
play too much.
availability.
Also Vlahovic too, like he has the grinta in him. I can
Of
see that,
course.
but
Yeah. Good
I
player.
don't view him as a great as a leader for this team at the moment.
No.
And like I said, it's pretty insulting for other leaders like Buffon, Chiellini, Del Piero,
Mhm.
all these players like these legends, and then you have Danilo, who's where even talking about him being a player at Real and City. You know what he was at Real and City?
I know.
A bench player.
I know.
Like
Cecilia.
Good squad player.
yeah, he's basically a squad. Like for
Yeah.
I remember which game for Real, the 2016
Yeah,
final.
he
Like
caught. He caught.
he was
Yes,
pretty bad, bro. And even at City, I remember that.
No, he was good
Like
at
he
City.
was pretty inconsistent and
Average.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when he did the Cancelo and Danilo
Ah,
swap, I'm just gonna say we lost that swap. You can convince me
Yeah.
we won
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in it. Like that was a pretty bad swap. So yeah, about Danilo, just basically he's pretty much the media doesn't blame him for anything or talks about him. They just praise him, leader, 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 and everything. Like he
Mm.
pisses me off a lot. I know he's injured now. He injured himself. Like I think it was a knock. Like to sport what they
He
reported.
jumped and he came down a bit awkwardly. I think he's gonna be out for a couple of weeks. I think something.
Oh, it wasn't a knock, so maybe
No, he jumped, to win a header, and he came down
yeah,
on
I
one.
saw that, but
Yeah, it
maybe
was
it
that.
was a translation of Fred, maybe.
I don't know, but that's when he went down, and that's when I saw the camera panning on him, and he was like, "I cannot play," but we didn't have any subs anymore, so he just stay on the pitch. But um, Spiros, because
Yes.
it's if Bologna win tomorrow, it's 9 points, and they're sitting at fifth. Fifth place at this moment in time in Serie A
Mhm.
is Champions League football. If actually Lazio beat Bayern and they teams do well, it looks like fifth place could be an extra spot in Champions League. But let's assume it's not. Let's assume you need to get top four. I don't want to
Mhm.
entertain it, but do you think? I mean, you said it, so do you really think? Do you actually believe that we're gonna drop so badly that we go from 14 points 2 weeks ago to, let's say, 5 points until 4 games at the end of the season, where you're like, man, we need to win our last 2 games, because a final game is also like the last 2 games. One of them is Bologna. Do you actually believe that, or is it just maybe like you saw the Verona game and you're pissed and you're like, man,
No,
this?
to be honest, I think yes, yes, and I think it's not only from the Verona game. I thought I had this thought like from the previous game as well. Like I just think that it's gonna be like this. I don't know why,
It,
because I think we're gonna crumble. This is my feeling.
Hmm.
I think like we're gonna be frustrated and nothing will go our way, and I think it's gonna be like this. To be honest.
that's that like I said, I'm not there because I don't want to entertain it, because I don't want to. I cannot
You shouldn't
imagine.
have to.
No,
You
we
shouldn't
shouldn't
have.
have to. I get, but like, I
That's
don't.
the thing. Yeah, yeah.
If I just sit back for 1 second and I think about we can actually be scraping top four, I'm not even sure what to
That's
say at that
disturbing.
point.
That's
It,
disturbing because
it's
you had a
on
yeah.
so many levels, like on so many levels, not just coaching, just
Yeah, like it
squad
was
starting.
17 points. I think it was 17 points. I think at in the
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
start.
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah.
Oh my lord.
It was.
Like it's insane. Like, but I have this feeling because I think this team, they're very disappointed. They don't play for anything. They're not. I don't think they are concentrated anymore in the game. We play like disgusting football. So I think we're gonna make it, but I think it's gonna be like a struggle, and in the end, I actually believe this.
It,
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think I would not be surprised at all if you get it by 5 points. But like you said, that's a drop off from at 1.17.
Yeah, that's
That's
insane.
almost triple the points. Yeah, that wow. I mean, that's just, and it's again, and we keep harping on about this with you guys because it has to be said. It's not like you've got Atalanta and then Inter and then Lazio and then Roma, and then it's not like you're playing all the good teams at once. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's the mediocre to poor teams in this stretch, except the Inter loss, obviously the best team in the country by a mile. But yeah, it's like you should not be in the
Yeah,
yeah.
but I don't know why we find a way to play worse than the bad teams. I
yeah.
don't know how we do it. Yeah, like it's like we play Verona. Oh, like okay, we have to be like we have to respect them. We have to be like at their level. I don't understand. Like just kill them. I don't know. Like I don't have this minds and philosophy. Like I'm confused, to be honest.
We again. That's that's coaching. Really quickly,
Yeah.
probably the final topic before we're gonna wrap it up here, and it's quite an interesting one, because post game, I think Allegri made a comment that suggested that, and I don't want to misquote it, so I'm gonna look it up for 1 second. But he was talking about basically coaching again, or it was about coaching, and he said let me bring it up really quickly. Okay, he was asked about making the change to bring in Yildiz and keep bringing Chiesa and keep Yildiz on the pitch. 4-3. Finally, you could see it, even if it was for 10 minutes, basically. He was asked about that, and he said, "Do you think that's something to move on to build on?" And he said, "You know what? When I did that, we started to concede goals, concede space and chances." And I'm like, we were doing that all game long, even without the trident up front. Like, and we've been doing that for a couple of weeks now. So that was a weird one. And then he said to wrap it up, and then he kind of left as well. He said, it's not the system of play that makes a difference. Teamwork is crucial. Now, when he said that, I'm like, teamwork is crucial. However, that's the most basics of that's your base, basically. That's your base. And after 3 years, if you still don't have teamwork, if you're still talking about teamwork, then you've been doing a horrible job. But he always kind of downplays coaching a little bit, or even fans in general. Coaching does matter. I will bring it up again. Does
So,
anyone wanted a Cherby? And we were linked to be in Cherby with getting a Cherby. Does anyone wanted
No, of course.
Mkhitaryan? Does anyone thought Di Marco from Verona was going to be this Di Marco, or even Bassoni to that extent? Did anyone looked at those players and be like, wow, Bologna? Did anyone looked at these players and be like, man, that's fantastic? That's my point. My point is when I look at this team and everybody's like, Yield is improved. Yield is new. I don't know if he improved. I thought he was good. He
mhm,
took his chance, with the injuries. He jumped in and whatever. So fine. But when I look
yeah,
at Cambiaso, he improved defensively. Chiesa, no. Vlahovic is all over the place at times. Locatelli, I don't think he has improved ever since he left Sassuolo. McKennie, he's our MVP. McKennie, the standard for McKennie, he set the bar so low. He set it so low, and now he's just working hard. And he's like, I'm not going to take it away from him because he's not one of the worst players on the pitch every single week. He's not. But if I need to talk about McKennie being the best player and MVP of the season, with all due respect, that's a big issue. It is a big issue.
yeah,
Gatti,
yeah.
I'm not so sure. Like all these things, do you think, Anas, do you think that he, oh, how do you need to put it in a good way? Do you think that with these comments post game, he always tries to kind of shift the blame a little bit away? Because when we lost the first game or against Udinese and Empoli, was talking about a young squad, and it's a lot of youngsters. But when we win games, he's not really talking about that. In 3 years' time, do you think he's trying too much to shift blame instead of also taking some blame in terms of, 3 years in, this team is still zero identity?
Yeah, in a way, basically, like for Allegri, like he doesn't blame himself. Like he has to shift the blame all the time, basically, not directed to players, but also like to maybe like he said in the formation wise, like oh, if because I changed this, we conceded a lot. Like it's like you've been conceding all game long.
Yeah.
Don't make an
Right.
excuse
Yeah.
that oh because I've tried a new way then they can't blame me because I made the new way so I have to get to stuck to my old ways of coaching basically. And also with shifting the blame on the players, yeah, that's pretty much what he does most of the time too, especially with the it was the comment the chances one, was it last game when he said like
He said it today
the
as well. We had a lot of chances against Udinese. He said it today again.
yeah, like okay, chances are chances basically, like players miss them, but if there were like a lot of chances or like you missed them and your play style was decent and can win you games, then I would make an excuse like say okay then that it is on the players. But if you like get one chance per I don't know 20 minutes, then that's not, you can't say that it's chances and missed chances. Like even some fans that oh we missed that then we drew the game or lost the game, like that's not an excuse to make. Like you should focus on the more important things in the club, especially with Allegri. Like you need to focus on him making the things work in the club, like in the team and players, like teamwork and teamwork. Like you said, that's the most basic thing any guy would come in Like, and with with coaching, it helps more in the teamwork. Can't just rely on individual performances or anything. Like, oh, this time didn't, like you say all the time, like it didn't work out for me, then that's a bust. Like, I can't have any more ideas
Yep.
It's
in
not
the
how
team.
sports work. It's a team game. Yeah, sometimes
Exactly.
individuals can bail you out, but the really good teams are teams.
Yeah,
Teams.
we
Bologna,
win.
that's standout individuals, some really good young players, very exciting, and a manager as well. It's a team.
Yeah, and
Fiorentina, not the
also,
perfect unit, but they work very well as a unit. Sometimes the execution just isn't there.
yeah,
Good
like
team.
we win.
Leicester, good team with some
Yeah,
individuals in there, but it's about the team games, team sport, team sport. Yeah.
yeah, basically with also, like I said, individual performance. Like we win games now basically because we have a better quality than most of the league now,
Yeah.
except like I said for Inter, or if people want to say Milan has more quality than us, then I know what to tell them.
I think
But
Napoli maybe, but their drop off has been
yeah,
horrific.
the
I mean,
drop off is
nothing
crazy.
with
It's even worse than Milan's drop off last
the
season.
drop off.
It's a
Yeah.
lot worse. Like even Milan now is picking up points, for God's sake. And I think they're gonna catch to us in second. I'm pretty sure. Like,
Yeah. If they
what's
Yeah,
the?
they
win
got
tomorrow, they will
Atalanta.
top us.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
don't care about second
That
or
should be a good
third
game.
or fourth, basically. But
Oh no, they got
yeah,
Monza. Monza tomorrow. Monza versus
ah,
Milan.
Monza. Okay, it will be a fun game to watch with my brother and father since they both support Milan. So
Nice.
it will be a fun game. But yeah, I
My
mean,
father as
really
well.
don't. Yeah, I really don't care about second, third, or fourth, unless if it's fourth, it's like 1 point behind. So
Yeah.
really, yeah.
I agree with that. Spiros, you will get the final say. Um, what do you think? Like 3 years in, like does he take enough of the blame on himself? You know.
Uh, of course not. I think he always says, if you know better than me, you do the job, something like that, he always says, we have young players, we don't have experience. And I think he doesn't, when he says experience, I don't think he means like 28-year-olds or something. I think he means players who have won before. I think this is what he means. Yeah. So it's not like the age or something. I think he wants that. Like he said, like for Inzaghi, oh, Inter won with Conte, so
Yeah.
and he also said something very funny. He said, "Oh yeah, Inzaghi is winning because he has very good experienced players, very good players, world class players. Like I used to do. Now I don't have them, so I don't win.
Yeah. That's what he said.
So yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. So for me, this is like very like I cannot even describe. It's the same. It's the same. Like it's very bad to read to hear. Like it's bad. I think it's bad. And to be honest, my opinion, if he stays another year or if he renews, I don't know. I'm not confident for the future. And I also I had this conversation with Alberto from in Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm from IDC. Yeah, yeah. And I told him that like I just don't see it. Like I don't care if we have young players and potential and all this stuff. If we cannot develop them, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I I agree. I agree with that. I do agree. Because if he stays, I do worry about a lot of players in this team. Because if he stays, I need. I'm gonna stand up and say for the good of Allegri, the club, and certain players, leave.
Facts.
Even if you like, if I like you, if Allegri's gonna say we need to have a different squad build, not a squad build I like, and I will call it out, but I don't want to see players I do like or just players who have different abilities struggle in this team because it's not gonna help me. It's not gonna help us. It's not gonna help Allegri, and they're not gonna help himself. So at that point, I'm like, okay, we do have an issue here, and it's gonna be a tough decision. But it's up to Juntli to make that decision. And I say tough. Is it tough? Who knows? Spiros, thanks for coming on. and have your say. Um,
Thank you.
Anos, same. Thanks for coming on and have your say as well. Um,
Thank you very much, Alex,
no problem.
and everyone in the chat.
Yeah, man. Um, I'm gonna start doing these shows more regularly because I said I was gonna do it, but then with the transfer window, it all got too much. But I'm trying to do them once a week. So if everyone wants to call in, like I said so many times, you don't need to put on your camera. Steve wanted, so he's allowed. But if you don't, you can just have your say as well. But I'm gonna try to pinpoint a fixed day in the week to do this type of live show. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining. Like the video if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of people said, ask Steve about Lazio and Anderson and Zaccagni. We're gonna do probably. I will reach out to him to do a preview when we play Lazio, and then we will discuss everything. Felipe Anderson, Zaccagni. But until that, I'm gonna let him off because it's been almost 2 hours. I don't think he was imagining to stay on for 2 hours. But Steve, thanks for joining. It was nice to meet you.
Absolutely, bro. Nice to meet you, Spiro and Anos too, and the other guy that called in. Nice to meet y'all in the chat too.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. No, like I said, I just love talking football. Just love talking football. It's an interesting situation with Juve. Very interesting because whenever a big club has these kind of these stale periods, I like to see what the fans think and just kind of the whole vibe of it, because it's like I'm not used to seeing this Juve, but now past 4 years, yeah, it hasn't been like that. So it's like some people cope with that in different ways. Some people have different solutions. Some people are like, oh, this relic of the past is still as shiny as it used to be, when it's not really. So it's interesting, man. Thanks for having me on. Absolutely.
I agree. That's it, people. That's it for me tonight. I will be live tomorrow with Norbert to again break down the league, but we will the game, but we will talk about other stuff because I think there are gonna be some funny headlines tomorrow and probably some other quotes coming out. So we will discuss that tomorrow in a live show. I will have a video out as usual, and then on to Frosinone, I guess, on a Sunday morning for a lot of people. So
6:30 a.m.
good luck for that. It's already early for me, midday. I think that's terrible, but for a lot of people, it's going to be even worse. But until then, people, stay safe, and I will see you guys. Ciao.